Mequon Nature Preserve employs a variety of tools for land management and restoration, from dump trucks, skid loaders, and mowers, to a chocolate lab with an incredible sense of smell. But to anyone who may be passing by, perhaps our most noticeable tool would be our controlled prairie burning. By doing this practice, we give our prairie plants new life. Now you may be wondering, how can burning a plant help it grow? Fire can be a destructive force, but in the world of prairie plants, it can also be one of rejuvenation. For plants of the prairie, the secret of surviving a fire comes from the roots, or more specifically, the growth points, located here in green. These growing points are several inches underground, safe from the fire's heat. Only the non-living shoots are cleared away. This makes room for new growth and new seeds to germinate. Controlled burns are not something an average citizen does in their backyard. They take lots of planning, require the permission of local authorities, and are performed by people with the proper training. Before MNP staff conduct any burning, a burn plan is laid out. Burn plans cover all the need-to-know information for the crew, such as site preparation, potential hazards, site conditions, and the contact information for emergency services. Once the plan has been created, and local authorities have been notified of the burn, it's time to gear up. You can't do a burn in normal clothing. MNP staff and anyone working with fire must wear special fire-resistant clothing.
These are our PPEs, or personal protective equipment that we wear for our prescribed fires. These pants and this shirt are both made out of Nomex. Nomex is a fire-resistant material, and everybody that does prescribed burning or wildland firefighting wears these to protect themselves when they're fighting fire. Some other PPE that we wear, we also wear safety glasses, either a helmet or a hat, and some type of smoke guard as well, like a bandana is used to keep the smoke out of our airways. And we also use fully leather gloves and boots. We do not want anything that can melt, such as like synthetic material or fabric, as we will be dealing with very hot temperatures, and if any of that material were to melt, we could be in for some serious danger.
Doing a controlled burn does not mean simply lighting a prairie on fire. There certainly would not be much control in that. A step-by-step process is followed to ensure staff have as much control of the situation as possible. Let's say we have a prairie we wish to burn, but there's a forest alongside it. We only wish to burn the prairie shown in red here, not the forest. How are we able to keep the fire from spreading to the forest? By following the correct measures and steps. Today the wind is blowing towards the forest. We now know where to begin our burn. Our first step is to mow a section of the prairie, creating a buffer between the forest and the fire. Using our UTV and a sprayer, we wet down the buffer with water, preventing this strip from becoming fuel for the fire. Once the buffer is in place, it's time to ignite the first fire. This is known as a back burn. The purpose of the back burn is to create even more of a buffer by eating up the fuel on one end of the prairie slowly. The back burn moves slowly because it's fighting against the wind. With the ground behind it mowed and soaked with water, the fire has no choice but to move forward at a snail's pace. Once the back burn has progressed enough, it creates the second and most effective buffer, a scorched patch of ground. With all the fuel gone from this area, it cannot burn again. This also makes it the safest area to be should a staff member feel in danger. Black ground is a safe zone. Now that the backburn has established enough of a buffer, it's time to light the second and final fire, known as the head fire. Unlike the backburn, the head fire moves with the wind and is much faster. The head fire's job is to burn most of the prairie, working its way down to eventually colliding with the backburn. Once this occurs, there should be no fuel left to burn, and so the fire extinguishes itself. After the burn has completed, the land may look barren, but don't let appearances fool you. In a week's time, new life sprouts forth from the ashes. The now darkened ground absorbs more sunlight, heating it, which prompts plant growth. Many seeds that were tangled amongst the grasses have now been freed and reached the soil they need to grow. In fact, some seeds actually need the fire to thin out their hard shells, allowing them quicker germination.